Okay, so this video is to review some factoring. So we want to talk about from your homework, number 8 is a great one to talk about. This is factoring. There is no equal sign. We're just factoring. So as a reminder, we want to figure out what number is going to multiply. So remember, some of you do it this way. You have a product and a sum. So it's going to multiply to whatever A times C is and add up to whatever B is. So in order to do that, first, we need to figure out our A squared plus B squared plus, AX squared plus BX plus C. We need to figure out our A and our B and our C. And so because A and C are going to multiply together, I like to make them the same color. And then B will be kind of on its own. Oh, it didn't change color for me. Okay, so B in this case is -8, and A times C, let's write down our A and our C to the side here. A is 7, and C is +1, and B was -8. Okay, so the A times C is going to be 7 times 1, so that is 7. So we're trying to think of what two numbers multiply to give you 7 and add up to give you -8. Now, if you do not like to use that cross, you can instead do the product sum table, and it's the same thing. We have A times C for the product, so that's 7 times 1, so that's 7. And for the sum, we have B, which is our -8. And something to think about is how can you have two numbers that multiply to be a positive and add up to be a negative? So that is an important thing to note that, oh, they're going to be both negative. Because a negative times a negative will be a positive, but a negative plus a negative will give me a negative. So there's only two options here for 7, and that's 1 times 7. Or rather, there's one option for the pair of numbers. And so since I know they're both having to be negative, I can try that. Does that work? -1 plus -7. Yes, that does equal -8. And so if you're putting them in here, it would be these two numbers. And then the question is, what do we do with those numbers? So I'm just going to make this a little smaller. So we have a little more room to work. So what we're going to do with those two numbers is we're going to break down our middle number here, our B, into those two, because we're saying what are the two numbers that add up to -8x? Well, that is -1x and -7x. And then we'll just bring down the other to the first term, 7x squared, and the last term of +1. And then I'm going to put this into two sets of parentheses. So I have 7x squared minus 1x, and I like to put a teeny tiny plus there, and -7x plus 1. Then I'm going to look for what are my GCF, what is my greatest common factor for each of those. So my greatest common factor of 7x squared and -1x is just x. And when I take that out, let's see, what do I multiply x times to get 7x squared? 7x. And what do I multiply x times to get -1x? -1. And then for the second set of parentheses, I'm going to take out a -1. These have nothing in common, but they always have a 1 in common. So if it looks like there's no GCF, you can have 1 or -1 as a GCF. My computer does not want to write nicely. And then also, you always want to take out a negative if this guy is negative. So I'm going to take out a -1. And that will leave me with a positive 7x. -1 times positive 7x is -7x. And -1 times -1 would give me +1. And you know that we want these to be the same. So that means that if we take out the 7x minus 1 as the GCF, we had an x minus 1 left over. So that is the final answer. And of course, I'm going to check my work. So as a check, remember that you can do what we did before, which is x times each of these. So that's x times 7x minus x times 1. It's really x times -1. And then -1 times each of those. So -1 times 7x and -1 times -1. This was really a positive x times a -1, if I want to be real specific, positive x times -1. So I get x squared, sorry, 7x squared minus 1x. And over here, I get minus 7x, because this is a multiplication sign, and then plus 1. And these two will put together to give us -8x. So I have 7x squared minus 8x plus 1. Is that my original problem? 7x squared minus 8x plus 1. That is the original problem, so that's good. I know that I did it correctly. So the check can help you know whether you are correct. So just zoom out so you can see the whole thing in case you want to take another look at it.